I do have a question. If either of you have seen the movie Titanic, I know the answer for Hannah Claire.
Yeah, I shocked Brett today when I was like, I've never seen Titanic, and he was like, I don't understand. Where have you been?
I said
that movie's too long.
Okay,
anyway.
yeah. It was two video. You literally had to have 2 cassette tapes just to get it to watch it. That's how long it was. But the point is that if you have seen this movie, and this argument can be had by anyone because it's such a huge part of pop culture. It says Unearthed Titanic prop reignites Jack and Kate door debate. So
see, the thing is, this debate is so culturally canon that I know what you're talking about, but I have never seen this movie.
That's why I included it. I said it transcends the movie. So if you guys don't know, in the movie Titanic, Rose decides to cheat on her fiance, and that is sold as a very virtuous and
he's a bad guy.
Because he's a bad guy. Because he's just he's a bad person. So cheat on him with Jack. That's fine. No one cares. And I'm obviously kidding right now about. I'm not.
Brett feels strongly about this.
Yes, but the point is that in this movie, if you don't know about the Titanic, spoiler alert. There was an iceberg right ahead, and the iceberg it sinks the ship. And of course, in this story, they both somehow don't die in the ensuing sinking, but they do make it to a door frame or a door, not a door frame. And then
door frame would have been less helpful.
That would have been far less helpful. And he helps Rose get onto the door, and then he just hangs there off the edge in front of her and dies.
It's like some line about don't let go.
Yeah, she says, "I'll never let go, Jack. I'll never let," because he's holding on to her in the they're face to face.
Freezing water.
And even though he's in the freezing water, and he makes promises to her, blah blah blah, and of course he dies, and that is very sad.
Does he die frozen stiff?
Yes, if I remember correctly, it's been a long time since I've seen the movie.
No, so what happened was, basically he does let go,
or does he sink to the bottom?
He sinks to the bottom of the water.
So she lets him go.
Well, no, I think
he lets her go because he
she said she would never let go.
Yeah, but she did eventually.
As Celine Dion plays in the background.
Rose is the ultimate enemy, as it turns out.
Basically, Rose is Voldemort.
Yeah, basically because in Jack's mind he saw the doorway being
the door.
Okay.
We all want to add a second word, but it's not there.
Yeah. Basically, he sees it. It can't fit both of them, but which, in my opinion, I think it could have. It could have, but
that is the debate. So we'll get to it. So it says it's been 25 years since Titanic docked in theaters. That was good. Docked, get it? But a major question from the film continues to divide fans. Could Jack Dawson have fit on the wooden door in Titanic? Viewers have often debated whether Leonardo DiCaprio's character could have gotten on the floating panel with Rose DeWitt, played by Kate Winslet, after the ship sinks in 1912 and the majority of the passengers are left treading the icy waters of the North Atlantic. Rose lives as she climbs safely atop the door, while Jack forces himself in the name of love to stay in the freezing water and dies, most probably due to hypothermia. The war of words over the door has been reignited after a TikToker, Jay Talon, I believe that's how you pronounce that, posted a video showing the prop from the 1997 James Cameron romantic epic on display at Planet Hollywood at Disney Springs in Walt Disney World Resort in Florida. I didn't even know Planet Hollywood was still a thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I there used to be one, I think, at the Mall of America, but don't quote me.
What's Mall of America?
Oh, wow.
It's like the world's largest,
mall?
or at least America's largest mall.
Yes.
It's huge.
It's gigantic. It's in Minnesota.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll take a road trip. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yay.
The user caption is viral clip. Did you know this? I love the history and facts in Disney. It says, did you know the wooden door panel used in the movie Titanic is located at Disney Springs? The video text said the film has a plaque showing a photo of Rose on the board with Jack dangling off the end. And they do look at the photo here. So if you go down here, I think she could have scooched over a little bit
or laid on top of her.
Yeah, I've seen the reason I know about this, I've seen memes that it's this door and it's you put one here and you put the other person here and then everyone fits.
Okay. Now there is an argument to be made that they could have sunk. Now we need a water displacement expert to figure out would them laying on top of each other cause them
what
to
the
sink?
buoyancy of this door is
Yes.
It seems very obvious that they could have, especially if they're so in love they can't cuddle. Come on, team. I don't understand.
A little bit of spooning goes a long way when you're stuck in the North Atlantic in 1912
and you're so in love,
in
right?
freezing waters. See, if she would have just waited for marriage, then maybe he would have.
Then the Titanic would not have sunk.
The Titanic would have sunk, but maybe they both would have
So
survived.
are you saying the Titanic is a metaphor for Christian values, not to have coitus before marriage?
That's not. It is. It's what I'm saying now.
quite work.
It's not. It's not really what I said.
The thing is, like, this door looks pretty sturdy.
Yes, it does.
Like, I don't really understand. I think they would not have sung.
The grandest ship in all the world. You're telling me they don't have nice doors?
Maybe the lesson is that this girl is actually just self-centered.
Yeah, she's just like, my hands are cold. Will you hold my hands?
Also, like, she didn't like insist he get on the door too.
I don't remember. I
No,
don't think
she
so.
didn't. She didn't. So basically,
She's like,
Jack.
okay, sounds
Thank
good,
you.
honey.
Yeah, basically Jack let go, and she's like, bye. Like basically, like
Well,
no,
like
she.
the door floats by, and he's like, get on the door, and she's like, I'm on the door, and she's like, but you stay down there, and he was like, got it, no problem.
Well, isn't it because Jack is also like he's kind of poor, like he was a stowaway.
so he can't stay on a
He was-
floating
she
door.
can't- they're separate classes. Don't go swimming with Miracle ever in case something sinks. Jesus Christ! No,
don't
yeah,
understand.
he won his ticket.
She's like, I loved you when we were on the boat, but now that it's touch and go, you're poor.
just more will be lost if I die than you. So if you could just stay there and die, Jack, Miracle thinks that's
So
great.
you think they both could have made it? The thing that I have heard about the like they both could have filled the door argument is like, but it would have sunk. But given this picture, I'd have to see the problem person. Like, it's not a flimsy door. It looks like it's pretty heavy. So to displace enough water to like support both their weight seems possible.
So people are arguing about it in here, and it says viewers, of course, took to the comments to fire away their thoughts on the prop and the infamous timbers. Several noted that it was or wasn't enough room for Jack too. So literally, they can't make up their minds. They say both.
It
of them.
was.
Oh damn! I take it back. There was only room for one person. One observer states, but another fired back. They could have both fit. So they're literally having this argument in real time. Another added. So
This
maybe
is like life and death. Like, of course they could have both fit.
they
Like,
could have
what
at
the
least
heck?
tried. So maybe they both couldn't fit after all, someone wrote. And I will always say that there's room for two there.
Also, like, couldn't they both just sit up and sit cross-legged? Like,
yes.
They could have
it's an
like
endless number of things that don't make
I mean, they're freezing cold. Their arms, like.
you
but
could have figured out the
survival-
math to make it balance.
They should have done math there in the ocean, in the freezing. They should have.
No, I just think it's obvious it would have worked. But again, like,
I do-
also he's got his weight on this anyways. I guess not his
should it
full
be
weight.
tipping back?
It's not tipping towards him. It doesn't look
Nope.
like it's staying level. So it probably could have.
I don't know. She's a selfish lover.
I do find my favorite part about this has nothing to do with Rose. It has nothing to do with Jack. It has nothing to do with these people arguing. It's the fact that the director of this movie absolutely hates this discussion.
Who's the director?
Hates it. James Cameron.
Why does he hate it?
It says Cameron, 67, isn't a big fan of the debate himself and stated in the past that he thinks it's stupid. The Avatar director told BBC One in 2019 he's never really seen it as a debate. Well, you are wrong, Mr. Cameron.
The thing is, I think he's probably like, they got me. I obviously overlooked this glaringly obvious plot
we were
hole.
looking for a smaller
And I'm
door
just-
and we just couldn't find
Or
one.
it was just like he didn't think about it at all. Like,
Yep. So it says, but if you really want to unearth all the dumbass arguments associated with it, I mean, let's go back. I mean, yes. Could Romeo have been smart and not taken the poison? Yes, Cameron said, citing DiCaprio's 1996 romance drama, Romeo and
see,
Juliet.
I feel like that's a very different argument. It's partially because, like,
He's got caught. His argument's horrible.
yeah, it doesn't
Well-
make any sense. Like, okay, first off, is this James Cameron related to Kirk Cameron?
I have no idea.
That's interesting. I think this is a poor, like him being like, well, I guess if you're going to be mean about it, like you question anything. It's more like, sir, you've had years to calmly be like, look, I see what you're saying. This is why
You're
we chose to do it
nitpicking.
this way. Like, you're just mad because you got caught.
Yep.
Well,
The bigger question is like, why is she played as like virtuous and good when she's like cheating on her husband just because
well, maybe that's,
dick?
I mean, see, I think that's more
I'm
interesting.
kidding.
No,
I
but
don't even remember that. I don't know if he was abusive. I'm saying this out of my head. I know he was like cold-hearted and treated her kind of like
Yeah.
property, but I don't remember if he was like physically abusive or anything.
I've
like
never
that.
seen the
Yeah.
movie, but the idea that like she would be like, oh yeah, that's the good girl, but she's actually doing all these wrong things is like a more interesting commentary about like our expectations for like good versus bad.
Well, she's also rich too. So
sure,
they
like
treat
that
her
could be
like
more interesting. The door thing seems like obvious physics, or
The
like
company that made the door has a fantastic opportunity to market this if they're still around
I
100 years
again,
later.
and that they wouldn't even try. He was like, no. I mean, I guess like if they try. And they would both get in the water, and then
It would
they've
seem-
already both been in the water,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
like they're cold no matter what.
However, it says Cameron continued, could he have decided not to bring his little dagger just in case? Oh, so he's talking about Romeo and Juliet. Says, however, in 2017 discussion with Vanity Fair, the Canadian filmmaker set the record straight about the door. The answer is very simple. Because it's on page 147 of the script that Jack dies, he explained.
That's what I think. Like, they knew Jack was going to die and they didn't think about the prop they were using.
He also added that it's very silly that people are questioning the scene over 2 decades later. He's right, but he's wrong. When you make something of this size and scale, and the undertaking that was creating the movie Titanic was massive and unprecedented at that time. If I remember correctly, they basically rebuilt the entire ship. In whole, and to make this movie, and of course they were rewarded. It was like the highest grossing movie for a very long time. It just lost its place, I believe, as number 3 to Spider-Man No Way Home, all of 20 plus years later. But he shouldn't be so negative because it keeps the movie in the realm of public consciousness. Miracle, think of it as like a less depressing version of the Martha thing from Batman vs Superman.
Okay.
When everyone's like, he could have said, in that movie, Superman is like asking for Batman to help his mom, but he doesn't call her mom. He calls her Martha because Batman and Superman have moms with the same name. So everyone's asking, why the hell would he call her Martha when no person does that? Well, apparently, if we were transitioning to the next, Grimes' family does that, right, or something like that.
Yeah, her kid calls her.
We're going to talk about that in a little bit.
I just want to talk about the last thing Cameron says in here. Do you want to read it?
No, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the last line is Cameron went on. The film is about death and separation. He had to die. So whether it was that or whether it was a smokestack falling on him, he was going to die. It's called art. Things happen for artistic reasons, not for physics reasons.
He's right.
Which is like, again, I totally get where you're coming from. Like, he was going to die, so why not? But like, I just think that like, if you're like going to make this movie that you want tons of people to see, like someone's going to point out the obvious. This door is clearly big enough for 2 people.
Yes.
And so like, either you write it differently, if page 147 says he dies, then page 145 and 146 say, because the boat blows up, because the door is so small,
Exactly.
only one person can fit on it.
There's also, I want to point out that there is a comment here down at the bottom that says, hard to believe this article doesn't mention the season 10 episode 14 of Mythbusters. Cameron was on it and they looked at this thoroughly and concluded that it was plausible that they both could have used the door as a raft.
Right. And it's funny that Cameron is like, well, in this other movie I made, you could say these things. And it's like, but we're not talking about the movie. Talk about stay on task here, buddy. Yeah. I don't know.
Clearly there was room, but could it have sustained both their weight? That's why I've always thought Jack stayed in the water. He could have sunk the door. And if it started to sink, he could have just gotten off.
You brought Mythbusters into it. Like, they both could have been on it. There was room. It probably would have filled up.
My other favorite comment says, in my version, Jack still dies, but Rose gets eaten by a whale.
Well,
she's fine too.
Why a whale? There would have been space.
So she has to suffer. It's like a parable.
Yeah. So I just thought Cameron should be flattered that it's still such a relevant part of the public discussion.
Yeah. Like instead of being annoyed that people are like noticing it, like he should be amused and play along with it because so many people are having this debate decades later. Like it's the most pertinent part of his movie.
He has created real pop culture.
Well, do you think the only reason why he's annoyed because he gets emails and letters saying, they could have both fit?
I'm sure.
That means he's had 2 decades to work out a more clean answer than, well, Romeo dies in that one, so...
So deal with it.
Well, for his argument, no, he had a terrible comparison because if you think about it, Romeo and Juliet, they're both like teenagers. So they're chemically in their brains, they're not thinking straight.
That was fairly good.
Yeah,
good job.
They're not thinking straight. So teenagers, when you're going through emotions, especially love, it creates more chemicals in your brain. So it causes you to be more irrational with your thoughts and actions.
Yes.
So that's why Romeo and Juliet took the poison and dagger. You could have said it that way.
Wise words from Miracle Sam. Very good. Very good, Miracle.
So are we all team door? Just to
yeah, we're all team door.
I'm team at least try.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
At least try.
The door would have worked.
If it starts to sink, he just gets off it and then dies.
Team sacrifice Jack or team get on the door.
I just want to make it into a classist thing where like Rose is more rich, so that's why she survived.
Well,
while Jack
she
isn't.
didn't even think.
She's like,
she's used to being waited on.
You want to get on the door too? Oh, okay.
She's like, people just do things for me.
Yeah.
Of course you would die.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
And okay,
I
so-
like that one.
I
more.
do think it is amazing that this movie has been around for so long and it's so well known. In this particular debate, I could not tell you anything else that happens in that movie.
Yeah.
But I know that at the end, she's on a door and he can't get on the door, and then he dies, and the door possibly could have fit them both.
The only other things
I
people
have never seen Titanic
the only
in my
other
life.
the only other thing people remember for that movie is the on the front of the boat when they put their arms out in the air. That's been redone in cinema like 1,000 times. And the sex scene in the car.
And I've heard that when they filmed, like, there's like the staircase that
The
goes
sweaty
down.
Yes.
That like when they filmed the drowning or the water coming in, like there were people who were actually like extremely scared.
I'm sure.
But-
I'm sure. Yeah, the behind the scenes of that movie, the behind the scenes of that and the behind the scenes of the Lord of the Rings are both really, really interesting things to go watch if you are at all interested about like the process of filmmaking at that level. So
Also, the behind the scenes of which Jackie Chan movie? Oh, Kung Fu Yoga. He almost drowned in that movie because fun fact about Jackie Chan, he can't swim. Yeah.
learn something new every day. You learn something new every day.
Yeah, so he was like legit scared for his life.
I bet. I would be too. I suck at swimming. Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.